Hello everyone, so in this video, let us talk about the first three problems from the Leetcode Biweekly Contest 92. So let us start. The first problem is minimum cut to divide a circle. So the problem statement goes like this, that a valid cut in a circle can be a cut that represented by a straight line that touches 2 points on the edges of the circle that passes through its center, which means that this is a valid cut which passes through the center and touches 2 points on the edges of the circle. The other is a cut that represented by a straight line that touches 1 point on the edge and 1 point on its center. So this is also a valid cut. This is an invalid cut because it doesn't pass through the center. Okay. Some invalid and valid cuts are given to you here. You are given the integer n represents the given above picture. You have to understand or tell us that return the minimum number of cuts needed to divide the circle into n equal slices. Okay, let us take some examples. So let's say if you have n equal to 4, you want to divide it into 4 equal slices, you will do 2 cuts like this. If you want to divide it into 3 slices, you will do like this. So the overall idea will come from the picture itself, that and you can only imagine it very fast also, that if you have to divide it into, like, you can say even number of slices, because let's say if you want to divide into 2 slices or maybe 4 slices or there's 6 slices, so if you like this, so in all the scenarios what you can see is that I can just take a complete, you can say, slice or like maybe cut from one edge to another edge passing through the center. So if it has, let's say I want to divide it into, let's say, n pieces and n is even, the number of slices or actually cuts I want is n divided by 2. Because if I have, let's say, you can say 2 pieces, so like I have to do 1 cut for 4 pieces, 2 cuts, 6 pieces, 3 cuts, and so on. But I'll, like, apart from that, if I have to do it in, let's say, odd number of pieces, then I cannot pass it or do it with a one single cut. I have to individually take cuts like this passing through the center. So whatever number of pieces I want, I have to take that number of cuts. So it's pretty much simple that for odd you will just print out whatever n is given to you, and for even it is just n divided by 2. Okay, you can verify it for different examples as well, but the overall idea is this only, that for n equal to 1, okay, for n equal to 1, that's the base condition. If there is no pieces or no cuts required, the answer is 0. But for even, I have to do n by 2, and for odd, I have to just take print or print n. That's the first problem. The second problem is difference between ones and zeros in row and column. Okay, so the problem statement states that you are given a zero indexed m cross m binary matrix, as you can see here, and a zero index m cross n difference matrix is created using the following procedure. So from the grid, you can create a difference matrix. The difference matrix is created such that let the number of ones in the ith row be nums of, like, 1 row I. The number of ones in jth column is ones called j, and number of 0 in ith row is 0 row I, and the number of 0 in jth column is 0 column j, and the difference of ij is number of rows in the ith row once, jth column once, minus, like, you'll add first two condition, then minus ith row 0 and jth column 0, you'll minus that, and you will get the difference of ij. And you just have to create out this difference matrix. That's it. So in overall idea, you just have to know how many zeros and ones are there for every row and every column. Now you can directly do that in just iterating over the whole grid in a row wise manner or column wise manner, whatever you want, and you can just count out how many zeros and ones are there. You have to do it in both row wise and column wise manner to get it for row wise and column wise. So in row wise manner, you will iterate over every row one by one. So let's say this row and this row, and in each row, let's say you count out how many ones are there. So iterate over this row and count out how many ones are there. And how many zeros, you will directly just get the total length of the row, so row minus the number of ones, and you will get the number of zeros. So for every row, you will create some, you can say, some array or some, let's say, vector to store how many zeros and ones are there for every row. Similarly, you will iterate over every column one by one like this, okay, and find out number of zeros and ones. Eventually, for every difference of I, to calculate out, you will use this formula to number of rows, like number of ones in row I, like I means like whatever ith row you are on, and just use this formula to get calculate this difference of ij. Not much difficult to understand as of now, and you will just calculate out this difference matrix and just print it out. That's it. That's the overall logic to solve this particular problem out. Let's move on to the code part now. So we have first find out the dimensions of the matrix that we have. Then we had created two, you can say, arrays for storing out the number of, you can say, what I've stored, the number of ones, in how, like what is the number of ones in every row and number of ones in every column. So now I've done a row wise traversal and just added number of rows in number of zeros, not sorry zeros, number of ones in every row, and added them out and just stored it here. Okay, iterate over every row one by one. Number of ones I have just added them out and stored it in rows of I, which eventually in the end, every row, how many ones are there? I have the number of zeros also. By that, I have the number of ones, I can just subtract it from the length of the row and I can get that. Similarly, I will do a column wise traversal to number of ones in every column as well. Now what we'll do, we will create a difference matrix which will be outputted. Iterate over every position in difference matrix, and how we can get out that particular value, I will use this. So number of ones, I will directly get it from row of I. Number of ones in column, I will get from column of j. Number of zeros for the I, like row, is the row number of ones minus the row length, that is m. Similarly, column, you can say column length, and the number of ones in column. I will eventually just take out this condition, that is the expression that I've shown you. Just calculate out for every ij and just print it out and just return the matrix, difference matrix that you have calculated. Pretty much simple, not much to be worried about. Okay, let's move on to the next problem. The next problem is minimum penalty for a shop. So you are given a customer visit log. So you're given a customer visit log when a particular customer visit a particular shop. Now you will represent that by a zero index string. You are given this zero index string, that whether a customer will come at any hour. It is no that the customer will not come at that hour, and yes, the customer will come at that hour. So that is given to you like this. Now what you can say is that if the shop close at the jth hour, the penalty is calculated by this particular formula. Like let's say I'll close my shop and the customer come, then the shop is closed, so that is penalty for me. So the penalty is calculated using these two things. The first thing, that for every hour when the shop is open and there is no customer, there's a penalty of 1. So if the shop is open and there is that the particular customer, we have the customer log, that particular customer is not there, then it is a penalty of 1. And if the shop is closed and the person come, then it is again a penalty of 1. Okay, so what you have to understand is that you have to return the earliest hour, the first hour at which you should closed. You can close out your shop such that you incur the minimum possible penalty. Okay, that's it. That's the overall problem statement here. Now what you can see is that if you just take some examples for any problem, it will come very intuitive to you. What you can see is that I have to close my shop at any point. Okay, let's just take out any random string. Let's take this and just increment it in some length, yy and yy, and just put it yy and yy. Let's say that this is the string of the customer log. Let's say if I close it at any random point, let's just take any random point. I'll just close it, let's say at this point. My overall thing is that my penalty is calculated at any ith point in such a way that if the so till this point the shop is open, and I'll close the shop at this point, so all the other rest one are closed. Now if the, like you can say that the customer comes in the close part, then it is good. If it doesn't come, so all the ends in the open, like when the shop is open or in the left hand side of the point you have closed the shop. So if I close the shop, let's say it will not be at this, you can say at this y, but let's say I close it at this particular r. Like when y hit, I will close the, okay. So all the points that are before this hour, then when the shop is open, and it is no, that is n, then that is a penalty. And all the y that are after this closed hour are also penalty. So at every point, ith point, I just have to calculate out how many n and y are there, which I can directly just iterate over this whole array, and I can just create an array out of it, that how many, let's say, n's are there till any ith point. So if I have the number of n's, I can directly also get the number of y's. Okay, because I know the total number of y's and n's in the total length I have the total n, I can directly get the total number of y's as well. You can make two arrays as well, whatever you want. So I just want to know how many y's and n are there till any ith point. So I just have to know that if I close the shop at this point, how many n's are there on the left hand side of the time I've closed, and how many y's are there on the right hand side of the time I closed. That's it. That's I just have to calculate out. And for every I, I just have to check out the actual penalty for every I if I close the shop at that particular ith hour, and then I just have to minimize it over all the hours that I have, and that's it. That's the overall logic for this particular problem. Nothing much difficult as in. Let us move on to the code part now. What we have done is that we have created this A array that will store out how many n's are there till any ith point. Okay, we have created this array. Now this is r of 0, which is used to calculate out, you can say, at which hour I should close, and this is the value, like what is the minimum value, like the penalty that I will be incurring out. Okay, so what I can do is to calculate out the penalty. So to calculate out the penalty at any ith point, I have to calculate out how many n's are there on the left hand side, because I'm storing out n till the left hand side of any I. So I've closed it at the ith point. So I've closed. So all the n's before that close. So that is a of I minus 1. I'll calculate out. And how many y's are there on the right hand side of the ith point. You can calculate out using this. So I have, let's say, you can see that n minus a of I. So total length is there minus I can, if I have, like, if I'm on the ith point, n minus I is the length of all the elements on the right hand side, and this is a of n is the total maximum number of n I have subtracted from a of I. So it will just reverse it out because I'm subtracting out from the total length as well. So length on the right hand side and the total number of n on the right hand side. So if I remove out the total number of n on the right hand side and add the total length, I will eventually get how many y's I have on the right hand side. Okay, that's it. That's the overall thing that you have to use to understand to get all the number of y's on the right hand side of the ith point. And you can have like making two array also, which doesn't matter. And then I just have to minimize it over all the answer that I've calculated. So if the answer, the penalty is less, then I will just update the new penalty and the R at which I have faced this new penalty. I just want to minimize the penalty, and the first R that hits this minimum penalty, I will just store it here in the R's, and I just in the end I will just return the first R that is having the minimum penalty as possible. Yes. That's the logic and the code part for the third problem as well. If you still have any doubts, you can mention down in the comment box of this particular problem. I will see you in the next one. Take coding and bye.